Yes, I can appreciate that the community feels let down. People have invested money in the game and not got what they were promised. Bad decisions have been made along the way, absolutely, but we're a community of passionate fans. We love this franchise, we care about the game, and that's why we show frustration. I totally get that. But I think at some point we kind of need to stop getting ourselves down about it and actually just start looking to the future. And I really feel like that time is now. Hello everyone, FewCandy here, and I thought I'd bring you this little video today to update you on the events of the Content Creator Meetup held last week in Tampere, Finland, hosted by Paradox and Colossal Order, whereby content creators, asset, map and mod makers from across the community were invited to come there to openly discuss where the game's at, where it's going, and how we can get there. I'll run through the itinerary, my personal thoughts and feelings about CS2 and how they might have changed across the course of this meetup. Plus, I'll throw in a bit of fun about the people that I've met, and actually, most interestingly, a little bit of the Finnish cityscapes that I've encountered and their influences, which are really, really evident within the Cities Skylines games. Now, I know this is a controversial subject. A lot of people feel very, very disappointed and let down by this game and feel like this event is probably a way for Paradox to pay off the influencers into talking about the game favourably. So before I begin, it's time for a disclaimer. I am indeed under NDA, so there is certain information about the game and updates which we were told which I cannot reveal in this video, and I will not be breaking my NDA, so please don't ask. The opinions I'm expressing in this video are my own. I have not been paid, influenced, coerced, or under any obligation to say anything at all by either Paradox or Colossal Order. I've only made this video simply because I want to, and many people across my community have asked for my opinion on it. Your opinion may differ to mine, and that's absolutely fine. That's what makes the world an interesting place, after all. Okay, with that out the way, let's dive in. So I flew into Helsinki with Sully, Overcharged Egg, and the map maker Uncle Ron, and we immediately trained up to Tampere, not Tampere, I've been saying it wrong this entire time, and we hot-stepped it up to Colossal Order's offices for a 3 PM office tour, which was pre-planned for us. And I thought the funny thing was, on arrival, actually, we were told it was a shoes-off office. I like that idea. I'm not sure it would fly in my London office back home, but it's a really neat concept. But we were also told that Mariner had personally scrubbed the toilets prior to our arrival. Yes, personally. But as we were some of the last to arrive, we walked into this massive boardroom with one of the longest tables I've ever seen. We were told that every employee at Colossal Order had a seat and could fit into that room, which I thought was pretty neat. But we were greeted with like this sea of faces, some of them familiar, a lot of them unfamiliar, and everyone kind of looking at us, trying to check us out, trying to suss out who we were as we entered. Obviously, a load of people had already met, so as an introvert, it was pretty daunting. But a lot of that anxiety kind of soon drifted away because we were put into smaller groups to go around and tour the office. So I can't remember exactly who was in my group, but I know that Sanctum Gamer was in there because, oh my, I was fangirling inside. I may have talked about this before, but he was one of my biggest inspirations prior to starting my content creation journey. So it was very special to meet him right off the bat, I'll be honest. And I know that Chiche's was there, and Overcharged Egg and Sully were also in my group, alongside a few others. And our first stop on the tour was actually the developer's office. Now, this was one of the highlights of the whole trip, I have to say, because we were allowed to just walk around their desks as they were working, as they were developing this game that we all know and, well, some of us love. And we were able to ask them questions, just to talk about what they were working on. Like, it was really, really quite an incredible experience. And as soon as I walked in, I actually saw something on someone's computer screens, which obviously I can't talk about here. But I will say it made me very, very excited for what's coming up. So yeah, time will tell. We'll be able to talk about it eventually, but that was incredible to see that. It really kind of lifted my mood and my feelings about City Skylines right off the bat. But in general, I think this part of the experience was actually a real eye-opener and a big reminder that there's human beings working on this game behind it. You know, I get people's frustrations, I get people's anger, but these are regular human beings who are just going about their day job to bring us a game that hopefully one day we will all absolutely love. And I'll come on to that and how I feel about that later on. But they were all so friendly, so nice. They took the time to speak to us. You know, I'm not sure how I would personally feel if someone came around my office and started questioning me about my day job. So like, they were very, very graceful about it. And it was a really, really, truly a great experience just to meet the people and the faces actually behind this game. We then proceeded on around the office where we got to see the staff chill area. We got to shoot some pool on their pool table, which was pretty cool. They had lots of interesting things lying around, like an old Atari. They had some big jigsaw puzzles as well, which I thought was pretty cool. And then we went into the infamous interview room where I had this incredibly awkward kind of Mona Lisa style photo taken. It was uncomfortable to say the least. If 10 people are staring at you while you're having your photo taken, that's what's going to happen to me, at least. We also did a quiz about the game, and unfortunately Overcharged Egg beat me, god damn it, and ended up with a little rosette. So the winners of this all got a little rosette, which I thought was a super cool touch. And we also had the chance to sit down in the big boardroom and ask Mariner questions directly. We also got to hang out in her office, actually, where a lot of people were picking on this half exercise bike, which had no handlebars, which was kind of funny. But her office was quite small, but really neatly kitted out, so I guess the half bike kind of was a bit of a space saver. Now, I'll be the first to say that my impressions of Mariner coming into this trip were maybe not so great. I mean, let's not forget about that if you dislike the simulation, this game probably isn't for you comment. But on meeting her, I instantly got a totally different vibe to probably the one that I was expecting. She was a warm, friendly person. She clearly was a CEO at heart. She had a boss lady undertone, but in a good way. And she seemed genuinely excited, actually, to meet all of us and be able to chat to us about the game directly. And that evening, we all went to a bar where we got to mingle, meet and laugh and chat with this whole room of amazing creators. But towards the end of the night, a group of us were chatting with Mariner and had the chance to really actually get to know her. And I really was genuinely pleasantly surprised with her humility and ability to recognise the flaws in the game as well. But she also showed a real genuine passion for wanting to improve the game and wanting to get it to the place that we all want it to be. And I think, you know, what came across in those early Word of the Weeks was almost like blind naiveness to actually how we were feeling about the game and the perceptions about the game and the performance of the game. But that's definitely not the case in meeting her. She clearly recognises there's a lot of issues and fully owns it as well, which I have great respect for. I also like that she didn't have the pretense to kind of pretend that she knew literally all the ins and outs of the game and the bugs and the development. Going into it, I kind of would have thought actually a CEO should know everything, but on reflection, she's a CEO. The CEO in my day job certainly doesn't know the ins and outs of our company, like down to tiny micro details. I mean, the role of a CEO is to run and manage a company and make those business critical decisions. Clearly, she's made some bad decisions along the way, or someone has, and I'm not going to excuse that. But I did really respect the fact that she owned that. She didn't run away from it. She didn't hide from it. She was very, very open and honest about it with us. So yeah, she was absolutely not all singing and dancing about the game. She actually came from an angle of actually wanting to listen to us, wanting to improve and wanting to learn and hear our thoughts and feelings about the game. At some point over the couple of days as well, I also spoke to her a little bit about the hate that have been received by creators, our fellow creators, and also the developers as well. And she actually spoke about a system that she'd put in place to try and protect her staff from some of that kind of backlash on social media, which again, as a leader, I really greatly respect. You know, if you're a junior developer for Colossal Order, why should you be having to receive thousands of hate messages from disgruntled customers when, you know, you're just there trying to do a job? Obviously, someone needs to take the rap for some of the bad decisions that have been made along the way. But having met Mariner, I do actually feel like she owns it, and she was very, very honest about the flaws, like I said, and about wanting to improve. On the Friday night, a group of us actually had another funny conversation with her about the purity of Finnish water, and it led to her talking about how a local farmer had driven over a river where there were special clams which cleansed the water, and he'd been continuously doing this and destroying the clams, which led to like a big disaster with the purity of the water, and nothing was done about it for months. And yeah, it was a big disaster. Okay, maybe I don't remember the crux of the conversation, but there was something with clams. We definitely sidetracked there. So the most interesting thing actually I took away from speaking with her was the fact that the company's Colossal Order had offers from other larger conglomerates, I would assume, to buy it out, and actually that they had decided to reject it, which I think clearly shows that she's more about the job than money, which actually, massive respect for that. She does actually genuinely care about her employees and care about the company and care about their output, is the impression that I at least got from her over the course of this time spent with her. She also took the time and effort to go around and speak to all of us, spending her evenings with us on both the Thursday and the Friday, And I like I said, I really got the impression she was open and honest throughout. So I actually left Tampere with a really great respect for her. She is human and she does care. And no, I am not being paid to say this. I have no obligation to say anything nice, anything at all. Actually, this is just honestly, simply my opinion. Okay, so on to the main event. So we headed to the Finnish Museum of Games for the big conference. And yes, we had these cute little name tags, which frankly was very helpful, having met 50 plus people possibly the night before whilst being several vodka cranberries deep. These were very much needed. And I was honestly genuinely blown away walking into this room to be included in this event at all. Like I frankly felt super inadequate being around these absolute legends of the community. But we kicked off the day with an introduction by Mariner. The group actually asked us so many questions that we actually overran this session quite substantially. And then we had an update on developments from Paradox. Now, obviously, I can't talk about what was discussed here at all, as I'm under NDA. I know that's really the reason you're all watching this video after all, so I apologise. But some of the information we had was actually publicly released a couple of days ago in Paradox's latest post. So yes, it is true. They are working on a detailers patch number 2, which will include a line tool, possibly one of the most requested features since launch, I would say. And I generally can't wait to see actually how they manage to implement that into the game. They also, in this forum article, revealed a few of the difficulties that they've been having launching the asset editor, but they did also list this as the highest priority for them in terms of workflow at the moment. So I think that's a really important thing. Let's just hope we get it soon, because I think that's going to bring a lot of people back to the game and is very, very much needed based on the history that we have with Cities 1 and the amount of amazing assets that were created and really brought the game to life as well, enabled players to play in the style that they want. So I absolutely think that they've got their priorities right at the moment and that we should all be pretty excited. A lot of what they said, like I can't talk about, but it's exciting stuff. And I kind of guarantee pretty much all of you would be excited about what's to come in this game, even if I can't tell you a thing about it right now. We then spent the afternoon in different breakout sessions with code modders, for example, being able to ask specific questions about that. Same for asset makers, map makers. We also had an advisory session in which we were able to give our feedback directly to the creative director of CO. I did pitch in here and I shared some of the feedback that you guys have given me. Just so you know, that is out there. It's been noted down. So yes, this section is patchy to say the least. I certainly don't want to break my NDA, so let me just give you a roundup on my thoughts and feelings. So I came into this event with mixed impressions. I think I've been pretty open with my community, particularly with those on Discord, about my kind of roller coaster relationship with Cities Skylines 2. Coming from someone who sunk thousands of hours into Cities 1, I could honestly at the time say it was absolutely my all-time favourite game. I've been really hugely disappointed with how the launch of CS2 went, and I actually didn't play the game for a couple of months earlier this year, as I just really simply didn't enjoy it. But with the introduction of more mods in recent months, I can wholeheartedly say I've actually really been enjoying playing it recently. Yes, there's flaws, yes, there's bugs, yes, I do have the luxury of having a pretty decent PC, and yes, there's 100% things that I would change if I could. But as a game as a whole, it has been fun for me to play. And I actually enjoy it a lot more than CS1 now, even fully modded. But aside from that, I haven't had the greatest faith in the directions they've been taking. This was kind of boosted with the release of the Detailers patch a few months back, finally giving us access to props and surfaces in the base game. And it seemed like from that they were kind of finally paying attention to the Detailers side of the player base, as well as trying to address, obviously, the long list of simulation bugs. But as a detailer, there's still a lot more I'd like to see, of course, as well as asset editor. We all want that. But coming out of this meetup, my worries about direction priorities have definitely reduced. I won't say fully gone away, as talk needs to turn to action. But in my view, they seem on the right track with the game. They're absolutely listening to the community. And I mean, let's get real here. They must have thousands of points of feedback. And there's absolutely no way any game developer can implement everything that everyone wants. And we all need to face that fact. But I do have every hope that this game will eventually, and hopefully in the not too distant future as well, get to where we hoped it to be and expected it to be on launch. Yes, I can appreciate that the community feels let down. People have invested money in the game and not got what they were promised. Bad decisions have been made along the way, absolutely, but we're a community of passionate fans. We love this franchise, we care about the game, and that's why we show frustration. I totally get that. But I think at some point we kind of need to stop getting ourselves down about it and actually just start looking to the future. And I really feel like that time is now. And I'm saying all of this not through being swayed by them putting on a nice event for us and maybe a little bit of free merch. I'll remind you of my disclaimer back at the start of this video. This is a genuine feeling I get personally from having heard everything that they've spoken to us about across the course of this couple of days, and having spoken personally to different developers and employees from across both Paradox and Colossal Order. And I got the impression most people at the event also felt this way. So you may call me a shill for the game, and that's okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion after all, and hopefully even if you disagree, you can still respect that actually this is mine. But having been at this event, you know, I've seen that they are real people. They do really care about this game and want to see it succeed. They listened to us. They didn't argue. They didn't even dismiss a single idea that was put forward. They openly wanted the ideas, they wanted the feedback, and they want to make it better. And that's why I really do believe they are going to give us the game we all want, eventually. I don't even know how to describe the feeling of meeting so many people that you've essentially idolised for many years. So if I go back to the beginning, I've played Cities Skylines 1 since about 6 months after it was first launched. I played for many, many years before I even considered making content on it. So I've followed YouTubers, I've downloaded assets, I've downloaded mods, I've lurked in creators' communities across this time. No shame in lurking, by the way. I'm shy, and that's okay if you are too. But to be suddenly thrust into a room full of people where you either know and recognise who they are, or after a swift introduction you realise that as someone who's created your favourite mods and assets and maps, it's truly mind-boggling, honestly. I still feel like I had a bit of an out-of-body experience. And yes, I did try to hold my fangirling in a little bit better than I did at the start of my content creation journey. What the hell? Is my eyes working here? Oh my god. Overcharged Egg has a really good mod to the build. He does. Thank you for the follow, Overcharged Egg. Holy crap. Okay, I cringe over that even now. Oh, the shame. But as I kind of don't really, almost recognise myself as a content creator, I'm just someone who loves playing games and makes some videos on it, and some of you like it, which is always nice. But it's kind of hard to control yourself when you're meeting the likes of Mr. Maison, TDW, Mr. Miyagi, Bad Peanuts, Sven Berlin, Chameleon, Pedelmo, Nick Hayes, Algernon, Maclerk, Cluse, Darth, and even the legend that is Cuboid in person. Oh yeah, that is me and Mr. Maison, by the way. That is a huge fangirly moment because, honestly, I could not live without his trees. But I could carry on listing these absolute legends and insanely talented people all day. There were so many people there. But I do think I controlled myself fairly well. Some may tell you otherwise. But in all seriousness, every person there was warm, humble, kind and friendly, interesting to talk to and interested in what you had to say as well. It's like a giant room of geeky people that don't know each other. But because you all have this one massive thing in common, it's super easy to talk to anyone. I also want to make a special mention to City Planner Plays. As the largest content creator who was there, he was just so genuinely humble, down to earth, genuinely nice, nice guy, really cares, listens, means well, cares about the community, cares about the game. It was an absolute honour to meet him. And if you haven't watched the stream from his hotel room, chatting to a wide variety of creators, go and watch that now. I did make a little appearance, but again, I'm not sure what I said because I was several vodka cranberries deep again. Another thing that I think made this meetup really special was the truly kind of global nature of it. There were people from Brazil, Australia, Korea, the US, Canada, Europe, of course, as well, South Africa even, and I probably could go on, which made me really realise the global nature and appeal of this game. On Friday night, for example, I found myself at a dinner table with none other than Teddy Radko, Overcharged Egg, and also Elvis, who made the Hearts of Korea content creator pack. What an incredibly talented and interesting guy he was. And we had such an interesting chat all about cities, life, and snacks from around the world. It was fantastic meeting people from all different walks of life. And there's so many people I'd love to shout out here. I can't even begin to talk about my crazy Friday night with Yumble, Slay 3K and Overcharged Egg on an empty rooftop bar in Tampere, laughing and drinking till the very early hours of the morning. All the laughs I had with Toadies. Love you, Toadie, wonderful human being. It was an absolute pleasure to meet her. All the fun banter and chats with the likes of Kodiak the Kodiak, Imperial Jedi, Sully, TDW, Bill Silverlight, Ancient Swan. The list goes on. It was really so much fun, and I just feel honoured to be included and seemingly accepted by so many people there. Oh yeah, there is this one photo of me standing in the torrential rain in Helsinki on Saturday night, so maybe I did embarrass myself on occasion. So I think I averaged 18k steps each day I was there, just wandering about staring at buildings. But yeah, that's beside the point. One of the key things I noticed from my trip to Finland was the very obvious influence of the architecture across the two cities I visited within both Cities Skylines 1 and Cities Skylines 2. So let's start with European low-density residential in CS2. Oh boy, I hated these assets when I first saw them in the game. They did not look European to me. But now I kind of understand that was my naive self, only considering what I know from living in the UK. I took these very dodgy pictures from a moving train window. So yes, this is a case of quantity over quality, unfortunately, in this situation. But it was almost immediately noticeable to me how similar the single family homes out in the more rural and suburban areas were to the assets that we see in the game. Small houses with brightly coloured wooden cladded walls, some with double pitched roofs that almost kind of look like a typical farm barn to me, or even a ski chalet, that style of building. But they were literally everywhere. In some moments it kind of felt like I was riding a first person tour through the game. Okay, not literally, we need a lot more undergrowth, bushes, better grass texture, a lot of things to make it feel like that. But the similarities were there. In fact, I'd actually go as far as to say that they nailed it. Some of the houses that I'd felt were far too boxy and far too small. No, actually super true to life of Finland. There's also the obvious things like specific buildings around Tampere directly lifted into the game. So here we have the hotel from the Hotels and Retreats DLC from Cities Skylines 1, and the bus station, which should look pretty familiar to you all from Cities Skylines 2. Of course, there was also the presence of great huge smokestacks right across the centre of Tampere, which I found pretty fascinating. Thinking maybe I've been too harsh on that overgeneration within the game. A lot of these coming from old cardboard and textile factories of old, being that it was once an important industrial centre actually within Finland. But let's talk about the real eye-opener. You know those horrendous looking signs that were plastered all over the European high density commercial and office assets in the first game? I used to bob them off at every opportunity. Well, they are literally everywhere in Finland, exactly like how we saw them in the game, maybe with less neon. But honestly, the influence is so clearly noticeable everywhere you walk around in Tampere, and even more so actually in Helsinki. So instead of complaining every time I plot one of those assets now, I'm actually going to be commending the devs for making these assets so true to life. Actually astounding, honestly. If we move away from the crazy signs splattered everywhere, there is a clear kind of vibe that you can see in some of the wall-to-wall old European city centre buildings across Helsinki, which is really reflected so well in the games, particularly the first one. There's a lot of very dark roofs, almost Gothic-like features with sort of spires on the corners of them everywhere you go. I think taking in the architecture and comparing to what we know of the assets in the game was actually one of the most eye-opening things about this trip for me. So all in all, Finland is a beautiful country and it is well worth a visit, particularly so you can kind of see where Cities Skylines has come from. Okay, that leads me to the end of our little blog, and I hope you found it interesting to know what we got up to and what I noticed and saw from being in Finland and interacting with other creators, and most notably the developers themselves. And so before we finish this video, we're just going to leave with a little reminder that this video was not paid for, endorsed or coerced or anything at all by Paradox and Colossal Order. But I do absolutely thank them for including me on this trip and allowing me the opportunity to meet and chat with all of these amazing creators. I'm certainly leaving Finland far more optimistic for the future of this game, and I just really hope and pray that they turn their talk into actual actions and prove their commitment to making this game the absolute greatest it can be over the coming months and years. But that is all from me for now, so thank you for tuning in. I'll catch you again next time. Bye bye.